Got to. Hell yeah. Okay. Team. Welcome to the funny German man medic talk. The person that you chose to play because you're a psychopath or you like killing people. Good news. You're very important, so people will like you. Bad news. You're the only healer. We only have one medic in each team, so you're gonna have to take a lot of responsibility. But it's a very fun class, and I like it a lot. You'll have to think about a lot of things. More so than shooting people or like aiming stuff, but those are still going to be important. So let's start with the loadouts. There's like 1.5. You have the crossbow always because everything else sucks. Well, actually no, everything else doesn't immediately suck terrible, but crossbow is just busted. Stock medigun and either the solemn vow or the uber saw. I will recommend 70-80% of the time solemn vow because it just gives you better information. And for those who don't know, you can just see what it does. But also, you can see enemy health. That also includes the Uber of the enemy medic. You're not going to be using that often, but it could work in like a pinch. So that information is still useful. You're not going to be using your melee much anyway, so it's like the best passive you could ever have right now. The Uber saw is just funny. 25% Uber, if they just beef everything, is funny, but you're not always going to get that chance. We'll talk about why other things shouldn't be used and other things that could be used but are not as optimal, and very specifically why. Talk about medic. We first need to talk about what medic is in general. This game is about classes. We know this already. This is the German guy, the medic guy. He has 150 HP. I should do something. Hold up. There you go. You don't have 98,000 HP. You have 150 HP because of your crossbow, I think. No. You are the only main healer in the game. The only other class in the game that could heal, has the potential to heal, is NG, barring any upgrades like the sandwich for heavy and whatnot. But for now, you're like the only main healer in the game. So you are very important. You have 2 ways of healing. You have your crossbow, you have your minigun. They're both very useful for very specific things. You don't want to use one over the other always, every single situation. You're mostly using like 60% minigun and 40% crossbow, but they're both very useful for specific things. To talk about healing in general, healing rate, I don't know how much it is, but you can see it. I need to talk about crit heals actually. Your minigun allows you to heal from a distance, from a specific range, obviously. And talk about crit heals. When a teammate hasn't been damaged for 10 seconds, they will start to be able to be healed by upwards to 3 times the heal rate, if I remember, probably. And you can heal them up to 150% of their health, which means a soldier can be up to 300 health because that's 100% of their max health. That's called a buff or an overheal. We're going to be calling that buffing because competitive, I guess. And you, as a medic, are the second fastest class in the game. This is important. Because you can run many people, except for the scout. But you have a lot of speed. What the minigun also allows you to do is to, if there's a class that is faster than you, so there's only one scout, you can heal them to go faster. Which is why Pocket Soldier, Shotgun Soldier doesn't exist anymore. Not entirely true, but also it's a very big part about it. You, as the medic, your role in this team, again, you are the main healer, so you are very, very important. If you die, your team loses a lot of potential fighting. You improve your team's survivability as a lot, because 100%, 150% of someone's health is very much a lot. So that is very good. Buffing is good. So you don't want to die, because if you die, your team gets to die, but quicker, maybe. So it's very important to you to stay alive and to make sure that you are able to heal people without them being too overextended or without you just not being protected. So that's the kind of the job, what you're being paid for, the 0 keys that we're paying for. Just for quick fundamentals on the heal order and the rollout, because that is important. I think we've already talked about it in every map talk, but just in case, you know, whenever you spawn, pull out your minigun, you heal your demo up to 260, even when they static jump. Once you start moving, you can start healing your roamer, and then your scouts, where you go faster, because scouts are busted and cool and awesome. And then at some point, you either give your roamer an extra buff, if you can like spare it, an arrow to the pocket. Just to recap on like the rollout. This is true for basically every rollout in a game that is 5 CP. Koth, it is different. That I will probably go, basically Koth instead of, because it's such a short rollout. What you do instead is you just buff your demo to 260. Then both of your soldiers will not jump, so you have to buff both of them as a roamer rollout. And you can rebuff them at some point, like in other times. I just don't want to pull a bagel because I'm lazy, and I want to stay on process. Something very important about medic, besides your healing, is the funny number that I have on my right, or the center of my screen. The 0%, that's your Uber. That Uber is very important. Everyone knows what Uber does. You become invincible, and you can kill everything, if you can hit anything. But, you know, being invincible is very cool and awesome. Do you just pull up the... I think you pulled up the show match where I dropped 4 times. Don't worry about it. So yes, we need to talk about medic. We need to talk about Uber. To the fundamentals. We've already talked about probably at some point there's like 3 states in the game. There's the advantage, there's evens, and there's disadvantage. Basically, do you have more Uber than the enemy team? Do you have the same Uber, or you spawn at the same time, or you have less Uber? This dictates your positioning, which you've already talked about in other map talks, and we haven't, then they did a good job. But you have to keep this in mind for, like, because you as a medic are, well, I guess everyone can, but it's mainly your job to concentrate on this advantage state, or this state of Ubers in general, which is called Uber tracking. You need to be able to track Ubers, and to do that, you need to learn some fundamentals of them. So the optimal build rate for Ubers from 0% all the way to 100% is 40 seconds. You won't always get to build like 40 seconds immediately. Sometimes you can lose some of that time. So it'll look more about like 45, 50 seconds, maybe even 55 to 60, depending on how bad you build. That's like the range, right? 40 to 60 seconds. So that's like the basis that we like to go around whenever we build. So that's like how you track. To give you a better tip for that, you can put 40 seconds into like 4 divisions of 10 seconds. So, you know, 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. And neatly enough, 100% can also be divided into 4 sections. So 25, 50, 75, and 100. So that can help you a lot when it comes to, if you know how much time you have over the enemy medic, that could help you know how much Uber you have. And normally, whenever we talk about advantages or disadvantages, we talk about the Uber percent. A small advantage would mean 10 to 15% to maybe 20%. And like a medium to like bigger advantage would be 30% to like 50% plus. So it's good to have those numbers in mind, just in case you can like kind of make the math and realize, wait, we have good advantage. Hell yeah. Goes hard. So yeah, those are like the Uber fundamentals, kind of just how it works in general. And now, what to pay attention. There's gonna be a lot of just talking and not a lot of showing because I don't have anyone, but also because medic is just kind of, sometimes you can play your own game of just like enemy survival, like enemy wave type of thing, of just you just kind of see a soldier flying and you try to survive him. But because you're not shooting, your job is less like towards the enemy and more towards your team. You have to be paying attention mostly to what you like your team state is, so that your positioning and their health. A very important thing to know is, or I guess one thing to like pay attention to very well, is the top of your screen. Right now it looks very weird because I have no one in the team, and also because it's kind of tournament mode, but if your HUD allows you to, you can see your health and also everyone else's health. So if I go down, if I take enough damage, my health will start to become yellow or not. So having a good HUD is good. So you can pay attention to to your health as much as possible, because you also have the ability to, like, if you don't think our health is good, our positioning is bad and terrible, you can just tell your team, guys, it sucks, and then just leave. Because since you are not shooting the enemy team, your brain is less focused on the enemy team, because you don't have to look at them really. Well, you do have to, obviously. Oh my god, but you just don't have to like shoot them, which takes extra brain power. Which means you have the privilege to look up your match HUD and just like look at your enemy, your own health. Oh my god, I keep saying enemy. So yeah, that information is very valuable. As well as we talk about, you know, crosshair placement and shooters and whatnot, and stuff like, you know, oh, look at head level for when you're shooting as a scout or something, and then, oh, a soldier look at the ground, like, what are they gonna shoot, so you can, like, you know, splash damage. You have something similar to that as a medic, except instead of shooting at them, you're gonna be scared of them. Very important thing to do, especially in Snakewater, which I didn't go to because I'm in process, because I'm an idiot, but it works very well, is the sky. Because you know how soldiers kind of do the thing where they rocket jump and then they, like, two-shot you? That's gonna happen a lot. So you gotta learn where they're coming from and be able to dodge them better. Because if you don't know where an enemy's coming from, you don't know how to dodge them, which means you're probably gonna die. Unless you're, like, the best medic in the game, or you're me, who's lucky as fuck sometimes. But yeah. That's very important for crosshair placement, for example. Like, looking up is very good, very important. And also a very good thing to note, you don't have to stare at your beam target whenever, like, you're healing them. You can just put on the beam, and then you can look somewhere else, right? This works, like, perfectly fine. You don't have a lightning gun that you have to, like, keep beaming and looking at them to make sure you're healing them. You can just look somewhere else. You see this a lot with like better medics, just like looking around, make sure like nothing is, you know, could be like hiding whatever. Like you see a lot of medics like look like that, and you probably notice that if you're looking at like one place and like hyper focusing on that, you could be missing action in like another place. So very good to know this. You don't have to look at your beam target to just kill them. Similarly with this, which means awareness is very important. It doesn't mean that you have to go ahead and clear shit, be like, oh, someone could be here, let me clear it. No. Just be aware of it. Call it if you need to, if someone could be hiding. But your map awareness is very important to make sure you're like not always going to be getting hit, which should reflect on your routing. I see a lot of times where we're pressuring for a sack or something and choke, our soldier dies, and then I see medics back up like this, and you have a door right here where a soldier can just walk up and shoot you twice. So be aware of the map in general, of how it is. Something you can do, you don't have to, but it's useful if you want to like internalize the whole map very well, is I like to go around the maps and just like backwards and see if I can just go through like the enemy last to our last, whatever, just to make sure like I'm aware of where I could be going and what chokes I could be going, and just improve my map awareness. Like here, I just like this, so it's something to work on. It's very useful when retreating, but also it just makes you internalize the map a lot better, and so you're aware of like more of these hiding spots. Like I'm thinking of this spot right now. This is not a very good spot, but it could be a spot that can get you killed. So yeah, it's good to be aware of chokes that could be dangerous. That means don't route it to somewhere that could be dangerous. I would route like this way, for example, you know, because then you're away from this choke and away from this choke. It goes hard. You don't die. It's awesome. This should also reflect on your positioning based on your awareness of just maps in general. Some things to keep note for a minigun, for example. You see how you can kind of like beam at someone and you don't have to be right next to them? there's a range for that. And we call it like extending the beam. If you want to extend as much as possible, that's what you want to do when it comes to just like a team fight in general. If you're like beaming someone, make sure you're not to not be super close to them, because one, you can take the same amount of spam because AoE damage exists and splash damage exists, and you don't want to make them deal more damage than what they're supposed to, so don't take that damage. You can it's a decent like length. It's like this amount of length. You can beam someone from afar, maybe even longer. So it's a pretty long way. For team fights, it's really good to just have this fundamental lockdown to make sure that you don't take as much spam as you're supposed to. Good. And it's nice. Thank you, Cal. Actually, I should do that. I could actually pull up my the server. So let me do that real quick. Is there a way to? I'll stream for like. I'll stop streaming for a bit just to make sure like we don't leak stuff. But I'm going to kind of connect. And thank you, Cal. Let me send you the connect. Actually, you probably have it. I'm gonna get on my team connect, right, Cal? If you know which one it is, I can just DM it to you. Yeah. There you go. All right. Welcome back to the stream. Wait. Not welcome back to the stream. I forgot something. Yeah, it's connect. It's all good. Okay, now welcome back to the stream. Oh, thank you. Oh my god. Level. Yeah. Just a few notes about the minigun thing. Extending beam is good. It's good to be far away because you don't take the same spam. But you don't want to do it all the time. Specifically when you want to Uber, like when your team wants to Uber, and this is a very important thing to just like keep in mind as well. You are not the main caller, and even if you like keep track of Ubers and stuff, oh god, you don't have to. Call the Ubers. Just because you're aware of them doesn't mean that you are the one that's gonna tell, hey, we're gonna use here. Because you're not the one that shoots people. This is the wrong team. There you go. I'm here. Cal. Hi. Yeah. So, to demonstrate how far you can be from, like, a person. I don't want... here. Pretty good. Even then, you can, like, go a bit further away. Because, there's like a range you can start beaming someone, and a range you can still beam. So, staying as further away from possible is good. You can splash damage. So, yeah. As well as, you can see the overheal and everything. I forgot to talk about the crossbow a bit, but I guess we're still in the minigun, so it's fine. Yeah. What I was talking about with Ubers, you don't have to be as far away from the enemy or from your beam target, because I've seen plenty of times where a scout wants to go in and you're not ready for that, and then you just kind of drop them in the Uber because you stopped beaming them. So a good thing for your scout to do as well when main calling is to say, "Oh, get ready to use," which that means for you get closer, so I can I can ensure that you're with me, so we can both use at the same time, and we're gonna be invincible, so it's gonna be fine. Yeah, because if I extend my beam and he says like, "Okay, use here," and I'm like not ready for it, then I'm gonna drop him, and he's gonna die. So it's better to be closer, right? Just make sure you're always behind your scout. Otherwise, you don't want to like be in front of him because he's the one getting shot. So practice this with your team. Good. Yeah. So about all of this, it's a lot of fundamentals, and it's a lot of things to like think about, right? So what's the actual thing that you're doing in the game, and what is your keyboard doing? What you could be doing. Here's where we talk about defensive movement, because you are gonna get shot a lot, and a lot, because everyone wants you dead, including your team sometimes, because they want to go in, and then you die because you get dropped. So How do you not die? Defensive movement. There's two specific things about in this game. So there's projectiles and there's hit scan. Projectiles is what this Caltonus has right now, his funny rocket launcher that, has travel time. You can dodge this pretty easily if you know how to juke. Like that, What Caltonus needs to do to hit me better is to know where I'm going and lead his shot, right? So if you can learn how to dodge that, it's good. So that's one thing. Dodging is really good. Sometimes you're gonna not be able to dodge something that's undodgeable, so if you want to bomb me, that's why you have surfing. Oh, I suck. Okay, well, I would have died there because I did a bad surf. Just do like a normal bomb, I guess, and I'll show you, surfing. So instead of dodging, if you're gonna miss, if you're like, no, you're getting a shot, you can surf a rocket because this game has knockback, and it's cool and awesome because it's very fun because it allows the soldiers to rocket jump, which means the medic can rocket jump. You just don't have the rocket launcher equipped, so you have someone else do it for you, which is the enemy soldier. It's it's very important for you to know this fundamental, because sometimes you can't dodge every spam in the game. It's impossible unless you're like the literal GOAT, or you're in your last and your team is losing because you're not with your team. So yeah, everyone talks about surfing is cool and it's awesome and it's like fun, but dodging can also be cooler because it means you look like Neo and then you can't get hit. If you go to scout count, yeah, basically, because if I'm in the air, I can't. Okay, yeah, taking the damage is better. Yeah, because I'm in the air, it's harder to get shot, which we call an air shot. Now with scout, it's harder to kind of hit the shots if he just kind of hits the shots, He doesn't have to lead his shots, right? He can just kind of click where I am. So technically, he could just hit every single shot in the world, and I die. So this is a different kind of juking, right? But knockback still applies. So if I keep jumping and he hits like a fat meat shot, I can still use his bullets to surf. So this is important to know just in general. Any damage ever that is going to exist in the game will give you knockback. So you have to have to your advantage. But this dodge scout specifically, it's just a lot of knowing DM, fundamentals of dodging, their crosshair and stuff, see how they aim, be very unpredictable. But yeah, you're not gonna be seeing scouts a lot shooting at you up close unless they flanked you behind. You're gonna be dodging projectiles mostly. But it's still good to just know how to live against, because it's gonna be your movement options in this success game as a medic is mostly boiling down to your defensive movement. Your positioning is important for sure, and your routing, but that's not really mechanically intensive, right? It's just knowing things, and you need to know a lot of things for medic. So you might think it just feels like school. Maybe, but it's fun. I like it. Medic is fun, but it's also you're a psychopath. Some extra notes. I want to talk about crossbow healing for a bit. If you want to come to my team, Cal. As well as, damage. Crossbow can be a good damage dealer, but you're not supposed to be shooting people. For example, I can do 70 damage to Cal, from max range or something. It's kind of, insane. Okay, then see. Okay, I'm getting off. It's around 30 damage, right? It's kind of insane. But you're not really shooting people, right? You're mostly healing them, which means you need to learn how to shoot your own team. Lamau. And there's a difference between choosing when to heal your team and with your medigun and when to shoot them with a crossbow. So the crossbow is normally better when they're really low on, when they when they need a lot of health very quickly to continue a fight. Mostly reserved for soldiers. You can also shoot your demo with them. It's good and awesome. Sometimes you want to take a more extended fight where, your team is taking damage but not as fast. This is where beaming is good, especially because the overheal is good. Normally, this is the reason why you want the medigun. I mean, because there's no other choice, but also because, you know, overheal is good because you can top people up and it's cool. But it doesn't. It lacks the range that the crossbow can have to heal other enemies. Oh yeah, go in. Yeah. Stop people up. Screw you. Yeah. The difference specifically between mediguns and crossbow is the range, basically, and the burst healing. As a fundamental, you really only want to beam scouts, only arrow soldiers, and occasionally arrow and beam your demo. Specifically because crossbow has a flat amount of healing it can do, and it's kind of useless to shoot a scout that has 89 HP when you can just beam him for the same amount of time. But it is good to shoot a crossbow at a soldier that's 89 HP because it'll heal them a lot more and a lot better. He was missing 50 health. Normally that's something for a scout. That's a lot for... Actually, it's pretty a lot for a scout. But it's you just heal a lot more, better, hee-hee-hoo-hoo, with the crossbow for soldiers because they have more health, basically. So, yeah. Basically, arrow soldiers, beam scouts, and do both for demo. Cool and awesome and cool and yeah. Let's talk about specifically like using Uber, because you know how I said, you know, you look at Ubers, you know when they're gonna happen, but you're not gonna detect them. I don't care if you know like the perfect plan and everything, and you just like know when the perfect Uber is. First of all, don't marry yourself the best Uber. Second of all, you don't have the visibility that your main color has. So, listening to your main color is the most important thing here, basically. Knowing like when they're like how to use it is important for you. What you need to focus on Ubers in particular is two things: who you're gonna start the Uber with, either the scatter demo, and who you're gonna flash. Flashing is when you transfer your Uber to someone else, you know, for like a few seconds. So let's say I'm beaming someone else and I use Uber, I can flash Cal for a bit, and he still has that invincibility for like, you know, a second or two, right? That's called a flash. You can also keep that beam transferred to the other person. That's still a flash, but it's important to know when to use them, and to know when, like how to use that is kind of the same thing with add, disadd, and evens, and what we call Uber exchanges. So there's two types of Ubers, I would say. There's the you want to catch a mover, where you want to kill them, and there's the Uber exchange, where you want to delay time. The catching Ubers is the one you're probably most familiar with in casual, where you just use and you want to kill as many people as possible. It's awesome and cool and very fun when your demo just gets like an AK or something. But there's also a thing in Sexus. It's just a bit different. Normally what you see is you use on your demo first, and then you flash your scout. Why the scout? He make you go fast, so your demo doesn't like get instantly exploded by the team. Sometimes that can change, depending on the circumstance, but that's the biggest fundamental. But the harder thing to do, the harder thing to do is the Uber exchange. Because it's a harder thing to teach because it's different, right? Like, why would you want to use Uber when they have Uber, and then it's just kind of like, you use both Ubers, what's the point? The biggest thing is to delay time for a lot of different reasons. It could be your team is respawning. It could be your team wants to go for a back cap and you need to stop a point, whatnot. But the fundamental of exchanges comes from the fact that when you flash someone, you are losing a second, or like half a second. I think it's a second of Uber like total. Normally your Uber lasts up to 8 seconds if you just keep it on one target. If we want to count right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? That's like the highest it can be. But that can go down based on how many people you flash. Normally you lose about a second for each different person you flash. But after you flash like your demo, for example, you can flash between your scouting your demo, and you won't lose as much Uber, if I remember correctly. Basically, this is important because for Uber exchanges, for example, yeah, less people in Uber, longer Uber. Thank you. Basically, in Uber exchanges, you want the Uber to be longer than theirs, so you have a better Uber. Because being invincible for longer is better. What does this mean? Flash as little people as possible. This does not mean fuck your team. If they die, they die. Sometimes it's that, but that's mostly for your soldiers to deal with. You as a medic just have to focus on using on a guy, and if your other guy might just mega ultra die, then you flash them and then they don't die anymore. Which might make your Uber worse, but you want to, you know, keep your team alive, obviously. You don't want it to die. So yeah, Uber exchange, and also flashing. I want to stress the importance of flashing, of when to use it or not. So why do we want to have a shorter Uber with flashing? Why not just keep it on one guy and he can kill everyone, right? Because you know, more people invincible mean more people survive. It also means your aggression can be better. When do you want to flash in particular? When you know that that person living is the difference between like making the round. Which could be when you push a choke and you're like, everyone goes in and you try to catch the medic and kill them. Anyone who's in that Uber and that could die, you can flash them and then they won't die. It's very particular in last holds or like in last pushes, I would say. But that was longest Uber. Yeah, especially during that. Yeah, especially with defensive Ubers, keep players alive and last, for example, is better than longer Uber. Yes, because that means that more people that are defending means it's easier for you to hold. So yeah, keeping your team alive is pretty good for defensive pushes and for offensive pushes, but not for like the middle ground, which is the exchange. And one more thing about flashes before I get to questions, because I think that's on my notes. You know how when you push in, you use your Uber? You know how you can't cap while you're Ubered? Yeah, sometimes your scout wants to cap. Don't flash them if that's happening. Only flash them if they are gonna get synced by like 3 projectiles. Which is gonna be like a bit of a harder thing to figure out. But this will teach you to just look at your team. Like, look at them and see, oh, are they gonna get hit by like 1 billion projectiles? You can flash them. This is why looking around is good to spot where your team is, and why the minigun can't do that. Don't just look at your team. You don't just look at your guy. You know, looking around, very useful and very nice. To recap, main 3 things for medic. You heal it good. You have crossbow for burst healing and medigun for overheal. Stay alive, because then your team stays alive, and just every single thing that we talked about Ubers and the fundamentals with like behind them. So, that being said, any questions, complaints, answers? Question mark. Yeah. Unless somehow Cal like knows something that I just fucking forgot, but that covers a lot of things, I think. And also the tragic NC show match where there were like 10 drops. Right. Come over here, Ice-T.
Hello.
Hello.
I was just wondering, I know this is probably more addressed in like some lectures about main calling, but what do you do if you are main calling?
As a medic?
Yeah.
Okay. So, main calling is probably better for the person who has the most vision, which means you'll probably risk your life a lot more for that. So if you are main calling as a medic, I would ask a lot more than usual, because if you're the one making the decisions, and you need the information, so you need to ask, oh, where's the enemy team? Or like, that's pretty much the main thing. Because if you're gonna be like doing decision making, you probably already know what the Ubers are. which is gonna be harder for you to track, right? But if you can manage that, if you can do all of that, fuck yeah, that's more power to you. But you know, it's you already know what the Ubers are, right? So you don't have to make a decision based off of like, you don't have to ask your medic because you are the medic. So you have to ask your team, like,
Cool.
is it good to use here? Where's their team? I think the most important part of this is just where's their team, because that makes your decision better between like, oh, do I want to go to choke? Maybe a push right T could be good. I don't know. Or we can go through sewers and play it slower, you know? And you don't want to risk your life for that. So you normally should be far back, right? That means your information is going to come from your team. So don't look for information just to figure out, like, just to risk your life, just to figure out what their things are. Just send your team, like, an RTS. Be like, hey, look for shit.
We need spotting or whatever.
Exactly.
Cool.
It's still very hard, but if you can manage it, it can work.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I know plenty of main colors. You can go back to the stage and the audience where you are not allowed to speak. You can also ask questions in the chat if you want to. If you want to like not speak, whatever. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, main calling is mostly important because of, like, mostly important to the P-Scout or like the combo, because they're the guys that have the information, right? So yeah, that's why the flank doesn't really call. When surfing, do you typically airstrift backwards or do you face forward where you're trying to go? Ideally, in like the perfect world, you're gonna know how to strafe however you want. Because believe it or not, you can also strafe WNS. But that's not gonna happen. That's hard. I'm gonna do hurt me a lot just so you can shoot me however you want. If you are very comfortable with the map and where you're gonna go, strafing backwards is nice, because you know where to go, right? I normally strafe backwards because I've internalized the map enough to know like where I'm going. But if you're not comfortable with that, or like there's like a really hard landing spot, so say you want to get to a very specific spot, like Bat, or maybe like Trapezoid, and you're like, you don't want to just W strafe or like backward strafe the whole way. You can be more precise by looking forwards. Normally, I would say if you just want to get the fuck away, no matter how, strafe backwards. If you want to go to a very specific position, strafe forwards. The reason why strafing backwards is better is because you can see the enemy team, so you know how the soldier is shooting rockets, right? You know if they're gonna airshot you, you know how to strafe away from that and whatnot. That's a good thing. The bad thing is that you can't see where you're going. So that's mostly just learning the map type of thing. The good thing about forward strafing is you know where you're going, right? Like always. The bad thing is you lose that information where you don't know where the soldier is shooting. So I could just be looking this way, and I just get fucking rolled because I didn't know he was gonna go for that, right? I could have seen him go for that if I just looked at him, but I didn't. So if you're comfortable looking at the guy and like strafing every direction, then you're awesome. But don't aspire to just like go for it all the time. Be content with just learning how to strafe both ways first, just like forwards and backwards. Both are good. Yeah. Something that helps me a lot is rocket jumping. I am autistic as fuck with rocket jumping, so I'm really good at it. And helps me a lot with my movement in air strafing, because it's just a lot of like very hard strafes, whatnot. You don't have to do this. I suggest everyone to like learn how to do it just for movement's sake, but also for medics to just like learn how to do it. But you don't have to. As long as you're comfortable with strafing, that's good enough. It's just that rocket launchers, like rocket jumping, helps you internalize how far you're gonna go from a rocket. But yeah. There's pros and cons for each. Yeah. I also want to say thank you for all the event organizers for putting like this amazing cup together, because it gives us a very like good hub to teach newbies about these things. And a massive thank you to Cal, because he's awesome and cool, and thought about this better than I did probably, and said, hey, what if I just joined the server so it's easy for you to demonstrate things? Lamau. But also because, you know, without the event runners, this wouldn't be possible. And also, he's the GOAT. Egan, Omega carry. Yeah. Any more questions? Any complaints? Any suggestions? Maybe any person that's better than me at medic that thinks I forgot something? I probably didn't, but maybe I did. I'll give it like until 8. See, maybe. Oh, actually, you're right. We should go over that. Let me do that. What's legal again? Is it? I think it's RC 11. So, thank you. Archon level 11. Thank you. Thank you for that. Oh my god. Egan G Bow. The GOAT. So real. Yeah. It's very cool that you guys are learning how to like play this, because I think competitive is cool. And yeah. Let's see. So, Bagel. Also, a good thing to like just learn about Bagel in general, because the position can kind of like be different, and it's also harder because it's not 5 CP. Come to Ruspawn. I will turn on SP cheats. Exactly. Bagel rollout, or I guess Koth fundamentals rollout. The key change is that your soldier, pocket soldier, will not jump. That means you have 2 fuckers to heal. Well, 3 because they're demo, but demo and then 2 other fuckers to heal. So you might think, this is a small spawn door. How do I do that? If you just internalize all the timings and everything, there is a way for you to get everyone buffed and be happy. But if you're having trouble with that, then think about it this way. You need to have your demo always top to 260. 260. That's always the best. And now you need to think about your soldier. You can either like do like, I don't know, 270 on like each, on like one and 300 on the other, whatnot. Also doing it while like moving. Just maybe sacrifice like one for the other. And the good thing about Bagel Rollout in particular is that you don't have to be as fast, because the point doesn't like get captured until later. So you have the ability to buff specifically your pocket soldier during this whole lobby section, just to so you can, just because you know you have this like ability to do it. So what you could do is you can heal your demo to 260, heal your roamer for 300, and then heal pocket soldier all the rest of the way until he like starts jumping, and you can like keep your scouts, whatnot, and then keep your soldier here. Maybe like it becomes more of a dynamic rollout. So it's harder for you, right? But it's also more interesting, I think. You're gonna be healing your pocket soldier like at the start pretty much every time, anyways, because the capture won't like start until later, right? So he has the ability to get healed for like some time in his life in Koth Bagel before you just fuck off and then never see him again. So yeah, that's like your one chance. So yeah, this also works on any other Koth map. So yeah, those are kind of the fundamentals. And for Bagel in particular, I want to stress the fact that you need to dodge a lot more projectiles, because people want to kill you, but harder. They might want to clear your pocket scout, and they might want to clear your demo, but they also really want to kill you. But yes, exactly. Don't just get married to concrete. this sucks. Because if you stay here, you have less space to work with, and it's easier for you to get hit. The good and bad thing about projectiles is that they have splash damage. The good thing, easy on flat ground. Bad thing, holy crap, is it hard to hit on anyone that doesn't like grass. So yeah, it is also an angle for the pocket soldiers to shoot you. You're very right. Freaking conquer. So, cutting through grass is better. You have one pack that you could just loot from your armor. You have pack numero dos. You can also see from your. It's just better for you. It's also easier to look at bombs because anyone that will be bombing you would be like from this way. Just like one sideline. The other thing that could happen is the right side, but your flank should have that already, right? So yeah. Another good thing about cutting through grass and bagel, you can buff your flank, and then they can go for the Pantatet trademarked flank shove, and then you watch them kill everyone, and then it's awesome. Yeah. So cutting grass is good. Unfortunately, your pocket soldier will be a lot more starved for healing, but he's fine. They're fine. They have a pack, and they have another pack. This might be a small health pack, but pocket soldier has a less exciting gameplay, which means less shooting, which means less damage dealing. So, yeah, this thing is awesome. This is more like a big old map talk for that, but for you as a medic in particular, there's like more specifics. Because cost is a pretty hard thing to play out in medic. It's kind of like, it's very fast. Might be fun for your team, might not be fun for you. So get ready to dodge a lot more projectiles, maybe surf more, whatnot. So yeah, cutting grass good. It's cool. You are watching a master at work. Who got this gameplay from me? What the hell? If there's, I guess, any more questions about anything ever in life, why do we exist? To play Team Fortress 2. But anyway, anything about like? No, I'll wait for like a minute or two. How do you go about positioning all this ad? That's a very good question. How do you stop the voices? You don't. This ad. I'm assuming this is gonna be 5 CP. I'll talk about it in Call, but 5 CP. Let's assume this is process choke. For the sake of, I don't want to change the map. You don't have to look at anything. You can just beam your guy here, not look at anything, and just wait for your Uber. Because you don't care about this. This is not useful to you. Like, if you see your soldier leave, that means you should probably leave. So, playing like as far back as possible, even if you don't see anything, is alright. It's okay. You have to be comfortable with this. Because otherwise, you're going to be on a lot more risk than you think you are. Right? And you don't want to risk a lot of your life in sixes because you're very important. If it's Koth, the 4-man, stay in spawn, Lamau. But yeah. George, 4-man, me when I do the thing. Yeah. Basically, like, just be comfortable with not knowing things. Because your team will know things, and they can just tell you things. So trust your team. They're cool, and they're here to help. And if they're not here to help, find a different team. Hold up. I have a GIF. You're gonna see all my GIFs here. They're all cats. I like this one a lot. Get real. How do you go about using an Uber defensively? It's a good question. Defensive Ubers. So they're basically there's like different ways of Ubers being defensive. Either their team is pushing into you and you have Uber and they're just doing it for some reason. For defensive Ubers, the most important thing you want to do is make sure you're using after they use, so your Uber is going to end later than theirs. It's not always up to you. Maybe they just are gonna force you. That's okay. Just make sure you're like not dropping. Another important thing in defensive Ubers, make sure you don't drop your target super low, because while you are healing them during the Uber, they're not just gonna be like instantly overhealed by the time they're gone from the Uber, right? So make sure not to drop yourself and your teammate. All good. Yeah. The most important part, or the best Uber you can have defensively, is one where you're using later, which means you have the privilege to use, like, to flash your teammates without taking as much risk from it. Because if you use, like, 3 seconds after they use, you flash 2 teammates, you have the same amount of Uber, and you have more people invincible than they do, right? So just, that's a good way of thinking about it. As well as for defensive, it's good to just use on a person that will probably die, because it's most important for you and an Uber to make sure no one really dies. Because if you lose too many people during an Uber, but you like used, but like you haven't used, and you have like 2 people left, that's still probably not going to be the best Uber, because 2 weapons isn't better than 5. But 4 weapons might be better than 5 if you can save at least 1, like, or 2 teammates. That's like the most important. It's just like make sure you like help your. Yeah, in exchange, the objectives to get it out of the way. It's okay if you're on fire. Also that, yes. But you as a medic, make sure no one really dies. One thing to stress about flashing is that you don't have to flash anyone who isn't gonna be like okay. Like if you have a scout and is in the Uber and you have the demo that you have your demo like right behind you, that is in like 0% danger at all, there's no reason to flash him unless someone shoots him. Otherwise, just keep the beam on your scout and you'll be good. But let's say like your demo is in danger and he needs to get the fuck out of there. You can flash him and then you can save him. Just make sure no one really dies without just wasting the flashes on people that are not gonna die. Does that answer your question? I think it does. Mercy. Me too. I think that'll be enough because it is 8:24. So if you have scrims, you have to leave soon. So I think that should be enough.